Oh, the drama of ISL 2020 keeps building here at the Duna Arena. London trying to be one of only two unbeaten teams here on season 2, but can Tokyo, LA, or DC catch them here on the second day? London Roar leading by 65.5 points at the end of day number 1. We are so glad you are along for the ride as well. 3-time Olympic gold medalist Rowdy Gaines. I'm Bernie Gunther. Well, it is key for London right now. They find themselves in a perfect spot to join Calais at the top of the standings as one of only two unbeaten teams.
Bernie, momentum is everything in this league, and London took it in a big way. After those 50 backstrokes, when Toussaint and Guido won the 50, they finished with a flourish.
And of course, they are going to pick the skins. Why? Because they won the 400 medley relay on the women's side. Alia Atkinson is going to go for them. And the breaststroke, and they got a little bit of a break because on the back to breaststroke exchange, LA took off early.
Yeah, timing is an absolute key. When Duluth went into Gorbenko, she went off just a little bit early, minus 0.12. As it turned out, London won in a big way, but it was still a huge loss for LA as they lost 18 points on that relay alone.
And so for them, the Jamaican breaststroke sprinter, Alia Atkinson, first time in her career she's going to swim breaststroke skins.
Oh, she won the 50 easily, was a key leg on the medley relay. They could not have picked a better skins, London, in that 50 breaststroke for this amazing woman.
Well, we know that Team Iron has the Iron Lady, but how about L.A. Curran? At the end of the day, you might call Tom Shields the Iron Man.
Well, he's really been the unsung hero. You see him take over first to the right there at dead even with Kush, but watch this turn. Unbelievable. He's done it all for L.A. Curran. How about that split? 48.3. Phenomenal. And that'll put a smile on your face in a hurry.
Big day for Tom Shields. 200 fly, 50 fly, and then the 50 fly skins. But we get it kicked off with 100 freestyle, and back onto the pool deck, Beryl Gastadello had her streak of 10 straight wins snapped yesterday by Kira Toussaint. You talked about that was really the changing moment for London where they took over the race, and now Freya Anderson, who was world junior champion in the 100 free, European short course champion in the 100 and 200. Can she hand Beryl Gastadello back-to-back losses?
Another great field. What a way to start the meet today. Unbelievable. You've got Weitzel, broke the American record in the 50. You mentioned Gastadello, what she's been able to do. And then how about the newcomer, Freya Anderson from London? What a splash she had yesterday, Bernie. Unbelievable, especially on those relays.
Anderson, Gastadello, 19 years old, 25 years old. Gastadello, the better event rating. But it's the first time that Anderson's dived into the pool this season to swim 100 freestyle individually. Great start, though, for Gastadello in lane number 5.
Yeah, no question. 0.63. Anderson, very tall, 6'2", 6'3", so she doesn't get off the blocks quite as well as some of the shorter swimmers, but she will come on the second 50. She has a much better 50 than anybody else in this field, but Gastadello wastes no time, 24.6, and Weitzel right there with her. This would be huge for LA if they could pull off the upset.
Beryl Gastadello won 10 straight before that streak was snapped, trying to get another streak started and get LA their 9th win of match number 5. But oh, here comes Freya Anderson charging down the stretch, trying to snatch it away. Oh, wow, Gastadello holds her off.
Wow.
7/100ths of a second.
What a race. What a race. You had 3 women all go under 52. Waddle was 4th, and she was 52-2. What a race for Gastadello. Took it out fast, 24.6 on the feet, right there. And then 26.6, and what a charge by Anderson. Look at her to the left of Gastadello. Out slower, 25.1, but boy, does she charge home. 26.2 just ran out of room, and a great start for LA. 1-3, and here they come.
Well, you know that Beryl Gastidello can rack up some big points. She was 7 for 7 a week ago, and she gets LA to cut a little bit into the London Roar's lead, but the Roar is still leading here after the first event of day 2 on match 5 as Beryl Gastidello gets her 11th win of ISL 2020, and she is down with 5-time Olympian Mark Foster. Another busy day for Beryl Gastidello, who, by the way, won her last match as MVP. She's moved into the lead now with 38 points as the 100 freestyle men walk onto the pool deck, and we see a change for LA Current. Maxine Rooney was supposed to go, but it's going to be Ferreira taking his place. And Zach Apple, though, is going to be down in lane number 8, hoping that it is a trick, or excuse me, a treat and not a trick. It's amazing because he's got a similar story to you, because he didn't start swimming until he was 16 years old, just like you. Started his collegiate career at Auburn before he finished at Indiana, and it appears that he has really broken onto the swimming scene here in ISL 2020.
Oh, you're so right, Bernie. He went 45.7 in match 2, third fastest American in history, behind Nathan Adrian and Caleb Dressel. So you know he's got it in him. 45.7, the American record's 45.2 by Caleb Dressel. So he got very close to that. He's all the way to the far right of your screen in that red cap.
Matsui down in the bottom in lane number 2. He is going to be the early leader, though, for the Tokyo Frog Kings. The Frog Kings currently find themselves in 3rd spot, but, oh, you got to check out Apple and the closing speed. He finds a way to close quick.
He really does, Bernie. He did this in the 200 freestyle over and over again. His last 50 is just unbelievable, and he's going to win this going away.
Zach Apple, 3rd time DC, they win it. The Zapple on top of the 100 freestyle again.
Not an especially fast time, 46.5. Actually, across the board, the times were fairly pedestrian. Scott closed well. How about Duncan Scott, 24.1? He actually had the fastest second 50 of anybody. He was out a little slow, 22.7, but he came charging home to get second. And that's huge for London because he beat Ferreira from LA. If you're starting to count points, you need to. London right there in the middle. There's Scott, but look at the far right. Apple doing the job. 22.3, 24.1. What a swim for Zach Apple and DC.
Man, all he does is win.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a chance to see Zach Apple swim the 200 freestyle. Look at the points for DC Triton there. Another win for Zach Apple, who's down on the pool deck with Mark Foster. Zach Apple with the 4th win of match 5 in the 100 freestyle. He's won it 3 times. DC off to a good start here on day 2. All right, Tokyo finding themselves currently third in the standings, but it's a good spot for them, Rowdy, here in the 200 butterfly. Suzuka Hasegawa, who broke the junior world record in 2017, back into the pool deck, trying to get her second event win, and she seems to be miles ahead of the competition here in this one. But Holly Hibbett getting added to the London Roar team. Who do you see being her biggest challenger?
I think it's the two teammates, Hasegawa and Shimizu. They finished 1-2 in match number 3 with times that really are far and away better than anybody else in this field so far this season. But you can see in this league, a week or two can make a big difference. So I wouldn't be surprised if Emily Large gets in there. She did finish third in match number 2 from London.
But well, 21 points at the moment, the difference between the LA Current and the Tokyo Frog Kings in the battle for second. But remember, Rowdy, the last time those two teams faced off against one another, Tokyo had one heck of a day too.
Yeah, they really did. That's when they surged right by them, and Hasegawa was a big part of that. Huge part. 2:03.1 she went. Fastest time of the season, brand new ISL record, and she led from start to finish when she swam that race. She beat her teammate by 3 seconds. Shimizu was second in that race, as I said earlier, and right now, looking like to mimic exactly what she did in match 3.
She might be thinking jackpot as well. The jackpot time in this one, 4.8 seconds, so you got to build quite a lead to be able to snatch away points. But certainly, you can see that Hasegawa and Tokyo, they're going on the offense here, trying to get some of those points back from LA and London.
Well, she got huge jackpot points last week, and going out here, she's still speedy going out. But back in match 3, she was 58.4 going out when she went 3-1. So we'll check the split here. 58.5, a little slower going out the first 100, but still in complete control. Nobody even close to her. DC tried it looking pretty good. Gallant finished second in match 2, and Gallant is primarily a breaststroker, and this is where DC said, we need some help. We need you to get in there and swim butterfly for us. So Gallant is doing a great job for her, as well as Rimini Rule, who finished second last year in one of the ISL meets.
But how about Tokyo, the Frog Kings? First and second with 50 meters of fly to go, trying to eye some big points.
130.4. She was 31.8 there. She has had a faster 50 than anybody else in the field for all 3 50s and a big 2-second lead on her teammate. And it certainly looked good right now. Looks great for Tokyo to finish 1-2.
Yeah, Shimizu battling out with Gallant, but Hasegawa for the second time in her ISL career, she's got the win, and Tokyo Frog Kings 1-2, and oh, jackpot indeed, Hasegawa!
Do you see that red pop up on the screen?
19 points scored.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And Gassan, who finished 4th, almost got jackpotted. She got in there by the skin of her teeth. I mean, she was 2:07.4, just outside that range, but Hasegawa charging every single 50. Even the last 50 where you'd think she's gonna get tired. 32.9, she got tired, but she still outsplits everybody in the field. So just an unbelievable performance by Tokyo, and now they surged just ahead of LA in the overall standings for second. This is sort of a repeat from last week where we saw them just inch further and further ahead until we got to the end and the skins. London didn't make up that much room on either team, so LA and Tokyo are certainly not out of it. But big swim for Tokyo.
All right, so Tokyo in front of LA by a half point. Man, day 2 is going to be a whole lot of fun. And they go back and forth, and now a better event, if you will, for the LA Current is Tom Shields. Just a consistent point score. You see the #1 ISO rated swimmer in this event. Behind him, Vinny Lanza, but Shields scored 40 points in match 1, 36.5 points in match 2. And he already has 21 points today, Rowdy, and this is the first of 3 events we're going to see for Tom Shields.
First of 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. I mean, he's got the skins at the end, so who knows how many events this Iron Horse is going to swim. What a performance he has been putting on here in Budapest. 29 years of age, still going strong as ever. The American record holder in this event. He's broken it 5 different times during his career.
All right, so Honda is going to be down in lane #1. Shields and Honda battled earlier in the season, but it was still almost a full second advantage for Tom Shields. But we've added Vinny Lanza into the mix.
Oh, all he did was win match 2, so he was 151.7, Bernie. So he could be a big factor, and there's no doubt that LA needs to beat London here if they're going to continue to inch up a little bit. So Shields has got to get his job done. When he swam last week, when he went 150.5, he was 53.1 going out. Remember, he's got a bunch of events ahead of him. So what does he do here? I mean, do you look to your right or left, make sure you win this race, and then back off a little bit at the end? I don't think Tom Shields is capable of doing that.
But we already saw Hasegawa get a win. Can it be back-to-back wins for Tokyo?
52.3, and Mizunuma is taking it out quickly. Now, this is where Tom Shields normally comes back on the second half of the race. If you're looking for his split, 53 flat. Remember, he's 53.1 last week, and look at the turn. You just have to watch his turn to understand how dominant Shields is. If we see it again from above, you'll see all the other swims right here underwater. Look at that. Just a beautiful streamlined effort. Biceps pressed against the back of your ears. Charges ahead by about a body length. Lanza's right there with him. But boy, let's watch this. Watch him coming off, Bernie. I love to watch him underwater. Look at that. Just beautiful. Goes a full 10 meters right there. But the guy is just so dominant.
All right, the first of 3 races for Tom Shields, and he gets the win over Vinny Lanza.
Boy, Lanza made it interesting the last 3 strokes, though, didn't he? 50.2.
Oh, and look at this. It's going to be a jackpot as well for Shields. 19 points.
And that was so critical because you flipped that with Lanza, and boy, this meet could very well have been over. But Shields got it done. Look at that, 0.3 of a second. And again, watch his underwater. Sit back and just enjoy this picture right there. You just can't get any better than that right there. I just love it. I mean, obviously we talk about Caleb Dressel, maybe the best underwaters in the world, but over 200 distance, nobody better. Nobody better than Tom Shields.
And with a win for Tom Shields, check out the MVP race. He's moved in front of Beryl Gastadello, leading the charge with 40 points. Could Tom Shields be match MVP for the first time in his career? Pretty big move for LA, cutting into the London lead. They get back 12 of the points as Tom Shields, he wins the first of 3 events we'll see him compete in today. And he's moved LA back in front of Tokyo. All right, there is LA Current's Ryan Murphy backstage, the overall MVP leader going into the match. In a moment, we're going to get a chance to see him battle Guido once again in the backstroke. You don't want to miss that, Rowdy, and he looks ready. But Guido, how good was he yesterday in that 50 backstroke?
And that could be a big Talk about momentum, a big momentum builder and confidence builder for Guido when we get to that 100 pack.
All right, but the MVP later at the end of day number 1, about to come onto the pool deck for the London Roar, and Chiara Toussaint, European short course champion in this event in Glasgow in 2019. Again, London came in with a pretty big margin, 65.5 points, but you can bet that Mel Marshall and company, they want to keep their foot on the pedal here on day number 2.
Oh, yeah, certainly. And remember the 50 backstrokes yesterday. That turned this meet on its heel with Toussaint and Guido. And could we see that again here? I mean, Toussaint was just spectacular yesterday and had a great lead-off leg on the relay. 56.6. She's been 56.2. Bilquist right there in front of you with a red cap. Could be tough.
Yeah, so Bilquist is going to be out in 8. Allie Duluth in 5, and there she is, Toussaint, trying to get her second win in the 100 backstroke this season. ISL rated number 4 in this event.
So 25.9 in the 50. Only swimmer besides Smoliga to break 26. She's got great early speed. Good 200 too. I think the only person that can really match her when to have the combination of speed and endurance is probably Bilquist, who also has good speed, but much better on the back half. She had a great 200 earlier, but here you go. You see how she slips to the side a little bit, gives her a little bit better of a dolphin kick, and jumps out to a big lead.
Wow, look at the start for Toussaint, trying to get the first win for London. Almost a full second in 100, Rowdy, after the first 50.
26.7 on the feet. When she went 56.2 last week, she was 26.9, so even faster going out here. Could she slip under 56?
Jackpot time, 2.2 seconds. Could be big for London. Toussaint, oh wow, she's won the 100 backstroke again. 56.36.
Right what she went on yesterday, or I should say last week. It was 56.6 on the relay. Much better here than the relay. Tired, no doubt about it. Great start for Toussaint. But look at that quick undulation she has underwater. You see that quickness? She knows that perfect mix of not too much where it creates too much drag and too little where you don't get a lot of force. That's just perfect on that dolphin kick. And look, slips to the side a little bit. And is it close? No way. 0.7 of a second over Bilquist, who also had a great race.
Well, indeed, she was the momentum changer yesterday. London got the win in the 50 backstroke over Beryl Castanello, and from that point, they just continued to build their lead on the LA Current. And she gets a win here early on, the first win of day 2 for the London Roar, and marched down with the winner. There he is, Guilherme Guido, trying to win the 100 backstroke for the 5th time in his career. He grew up in Brazil, a big rival of Cesar Cielo. Guido used to beat Cielo in freestyle, and Cielo used to beat Guido in backstroke until the age of about 15, and then Cielo decided to focus on freestyle. Obviously, the rest is history, and Guido's focused on backstroke and arguably the best 100 backstroker on the planet at the moment.
Both of them made the right decision, didn't they, when they switched around? Cielo became an Olympic gold medalist, and Guido, as you said, at least right here in the ISL season, is the best 100 backstroker. 49.50 he went on the relay yesterday. That tied the ISL record. He went 49.50 in Las Vegas last year. Can Murphy get under 50? He was only 50.2 on the relay. This would be a huge swing of momentum if somehow Murphy can kind of get back in there and regain this title.
At the top 200 backstrokers, ISL rating-wise, Murphy and Guido about to battle here in the 100 backstroke.
Don't forget Diener down there in lane number 3. Also a very tough swimmer. And Irie, again, this backstroke this weekend has just been fabulous. Irie was also very tough. No one else was even under 26. He was 25.6 his last 50 on the relay.
Well, the winner in this 100 backstroke every time in ISL 2020 has been under 50 seconds. Oh, Guido already a half second in front.
23.5. Wow, no wonder the Current didn't select the 50 backstroke in the skins. He is out fast.
Guido
unbelievable.
Coming home. Murphy trying to track him down, but Guido with the early speed. Oh, is it enough? Guido does it. Oh, Guido again. 49.57. Fifth win in his career in the 100 backstroke.
And he had to work for every single meter on that race right there. He was out fast, 23.5. Murph just doesn't quite have the speed right now. He hasn't been great in the 50s, but boy, he's been great on the back half. 24 flat for Murph going out, but you can see him charging home. He was 25.6 coming home, not quite. 26 flat for Guido, but boy, that first 50 paid off for him in a big way. He wins it by 19/100ths of a second. Great swim again for Irie, getting under 50, 49.9.
You got 3 swimmers getting under 50 seconds. And look at London and LA, the exact same points on that 100 backstroke. So London remains in front with 332 points as Guido gets his 5th win. And again, when it comes to strategy, you take a look at this event, Rowdy, and the 100 IM, and Kaminova's going to be in lane number 4. She won match number 2. London actually won 1-2. Atkinson was second, but because there's breaststroke skins, they've decided to have Sydney Pickram come into their lineup. Again, it's that the challenge with 24 swimmers for these athletes and for their coaches to try to decide what is the best way forward to utilize those 24 swimmers.
It is a chess match. There is no doubt about it. You and I were talking to Coach Marsh on the deck before we walked up today, and he said, listen, I've got to maneuver people where I think I have the best matchups, and sometimes that's their best stroke, best event, and sometimes it might be even be their weakest stroke. Gorbenko right there. Can she get the job done now for the Current? Imai is going to be very tough to beat. Great matchup here. Don't forget about Anderson, Kamenova, Pickram. Oh, any one of 5 or 6 swimmers in here could win this race.
But Imai was almost a full second ahead time-wise of what we've seen Kamenova do this season. She's down at the bottom in lane number 1.
And the great thing about Imai is she doesn't really have a weakness that is glaring. Yeah, breaststroke might be a little bit, but she is so solid on the other 3 strokes that it's just not glaring. And then you got Weitzel in lane number 6 coming off the 100 freestyle about a half an hour ago, and she's in there.
Look at how tight it is. 2/100ths of a second separating Imai for Tokyo and Kamenova for London. And Imai continues to build on her lead. Gorbenko has moved into second now with 25 meters of freestyle remaining. Imai trying to get a win for Tokyo.
Well, Imai's going to get it done for Tokyo. Now it's up to London to see if they can squeeze out LA.
Oh, and look at Abby Weitzel coming up. Tokyo gets the win, but LA goes second, third. But, oh, the jackpot is going to give Tokyo 10 points. We've come to find out that Tokyo Frog Kings, they're IM masters, it seems.
Well, what a great swim for Imai. You can see that breaststroke, how she just charges forward each and every stroke. Keeps it high, but she charges forward. Keeps those hands, slips those hands right above the water. Nice tuck turn there. And what a swim there in the middle of the dark caps for Weitzel and Gorbenko to get second and third, especially Weitzel. I mean, she had a tough double, 30 minutes out of the 100 freestyle and gets third, but this was all about Runa Imai.
All right, Tokyo, LA. Only a half-point difference as those two teams look at the battle for second place. 7.5 points the difference right now between LA and Tokyo, with a 40-point lead at the moment for London.
Hey, Bernie, let me say that I remember last week, Tokyo had about a 40-point lead on LA at this point. And don't forget that LA came back and won the meet overall. So this thing is far from over.
All right, we got a chance to see Vladimir Morozov. Once again, he's going to be down in lane number one. It was surprising yesterday, Roddy, because Morozov just did not have a great 50 freestyle.
No.
Often you don't see Morozov fall to third.
Well, there's no way you can sugarcoat it. I mean, he just did not swim well in the 50. I mean, for Vladimir Morozov, you know, somebody else goes 21 flat and you're going to say spectacular, but for a guy that has broken 21 probably in practice before, not very good. But he's the world record holder in the 100 IM and has the 10 fastest times in history. So you still, even though he's been off, you still have to consider him the favorite.
And right next to him, you see Hagino, who shows his versatility. Of course, he's Olympic champion in the 400, very good at the 200, and here he is battling in the 100 IM.
Yeah, silver in the 200 IM at those same Olympic Games, right behind Michael Phelps. But he's also very good in the 100. Doesn't quite have the speed to match up with some of these swimmers, but still very good. And right now, early on, it is Morozov, that quick first 50, and he is, his back half, believe it or not, on paper anyway, is better than his front half.
Vizeios, Timon Voss, all trying to battle with Morozov. You would think that this would go to Morozov even with 25 meters of freestyle to go. We'll see how it wraps up. Oh, Voss, he is trying to take command. Vizeios moving up for London, and this is tight, folks. It is
Voss!
Oh, Voss with his first win.
Wow! 16/100ths of a second over Morozov. What a race!
Voss getting the win for LA. All right, well, day two began with a 65-point lead for London over LA. They have nearly half the lead. The lead is now 36 points as it's time for the 200 freestyle coming onto the pool deck. And this is again where we saw Freya Anderson come in. Roddy, she was really big for London on the relays, but certainly she boosts their effort here in this 200 freestyle as well.
She just is that huge difference maker in every single way. You put it in perspective a little bit. Marie Waddle, who swims for London, won this event the second week. And all of a sudden they take her out of there, the winner, and throw in Freya Anderson and be able to use Waddle somewhere else. That's how much she adds, and certainly on the relays, just invaluable.
All right, so Anderson is going to be in lane number 4, tied for 6th with 18 points at the end of day one. Of course, we talked about her biggest impact being in that 400 medley relay. Marie Waddle won this event in match number 2.
Igarashi and Murez, they're going to be very good. Murez had a great 400, at least the first 200 of her 400 yesterday. She died off, but she had great speed, and she's been very valuable for LA in every single way, especially on those relays. So she will probably charge out on the beginning of this race. Freya Anderson will come home on that back half. Her best time, 152.77. I'm talking about Freya Anderson, and that's the British record. She won her best time in the 100 freestyle about 45 minutes ago.
At 1-2 early on for Tokyo. The Frog Kings in the mix as well. Remember when LA and Tokyo battled just 2 matches ago and went down to the Skins to decide that one. And a much better start for the LA Current, who's cut into the lead. It's only 36 points. You can see the totals at the bottom of the screen with London ahead with 348.5 points.
Just who we talked about right there at the beginning. Murez, Igarashi, Shirai right there. Boy, Murez is doing the same thing she did in the 400. Now, she fell back in a big way the second half, but can she kind of hang on here? This is a completely different race.
And again, for a lot of these athletes competing as a team, sometimes that does help you dig a little bit deeper when you're tired, Rowdy.
Yeah, 55.5, by the way, on Murez, taking it out. Still looking good there. Still a second ahead of Shirai.
Man, look at this. Murez trying to get the win, trying to get her first ever win in the 200 freestyle. And she has got the lead, in charge of this 200 freestyle with 25 meters to go.
And Anderson was 8th at one point. Moved up to 5th, but boy, she's not going to do it. And look at this for Murez.
Murez is going to win it, and oh, how about the close for Anderson? She finishes second.
That might be bigger than the win for Murez, even though that'll put a smile on your face in a hurry. 29.3 for her at the end, 153.5. She goes her best time by 2 seconds. That is the swim of the meet for Andy Murez. As much as she's done here in Budapest, that's the best she's looked by far. Unbelievable swim. And a PB. Anderson, how did she get second? Well, she did it by going 27.7 coming home to just get by, and that's big, big, big for London. That stems the tide a little bit on the LA side. They finish 2nd and 5th there. LA 1st and 6th.
Yeah, so instead of a 36-point lead, it's down to 32 points. It's all about chipping away if you're LA. And for London, again, the great news they have is that they finish the day with an event that they feel like they should dominate in, the breaststroke skins with Ali Atkinson. Of course, I think that the 50 fly skin's a little bit more up for grab, but obviously it is clear that Atkinson has a chance to score some big points at the end of day number 2. All right, here we go, men's 200 freestyle, and the story yesterday for the LA Current, they're without Andrew Seliskar. Initially, they were hoping that he would get back into the race and swim this 200 freestyle, still battling a stomach bug that's kept him out of racing yesterday and today.
Yeah, we were talking to Coach Marsh and Lenny Kraselberg about that, and, you know, it's just simply a bug, and they really feel confident he'll be back. They have a weekend off next weekend, so they've got a nice little training session, but it certainly has hurt them. They're actually without 3 swimmers because of that, and it has definitely hurt them here this weekend. But everybody's gone through it, you know. Everybody, there's no excuses. Nobody's making excuses, but that certainly hurts LA.
But there's 3 swimmers in this event that have already won the 200 freestyle. Matsumoto down in 1. Duncan Scott, who won match 2 for London, he's going to be in lane number 4, and Fernando Scheffer right next to him in lane number 5.
Right? That's pretty cool. I don't know if we've had that yet, where you've had 3 winners all in the race thus far of the season.
Duncan Scott, and of course, Zach Apple. He's going to be out in lane number 7. We saw him win the 100 freestyle. Can he win the 200? Those two, Zach Apple and Duncan Scott, battled in match number 2, and the difference was exactly 0.2 of a second. That's how tight that race was.
Interesting that Rooney was taken out of the 100 free. Coach Marsh decided to take him out of the 100 and put him in the 200. He knew Apple was going to be maybe just too much for Rooney in the 100, but he feels really confident here in the 200. Now, he's got the 50 fly skins possibly later on. It's between him and Dylan Carter, obviously Tom Shields, but he's got the fly in the skins, and so how much does this take out of him? He's got about an hour before the skins, so it shouldn't affect him here.
And remember, Zach Apple typically really comes charging home, just like we saw Anderson do. So don't count him out, even though you see him behind out in lane number 7 of Matsumoto, Duncan Scott, and Sheffer in a pretty tight field here early on.
Hey, that's a good point. Apple way up there in lane number 2, or lane 7 rather. His last 50 was 25.5. That's about a second faster than anybody else in the field. But how about Duncan Scott? Wow, what a performance he had in that second 50. Unbelievable, 25.6, another 25.8. The only guy to break 26, 2 consecutive 50s.
All right, and Duncan Scott is taking the lead, trying to get London the win here in the 200 freestyle. Matsumoto has fallen all the way. Oh, still holding at second. Rooney, Apple,
huge.
Trying to get Duncan Scott. Matsumoto making a late charge down at the bottom. And, oh, Matsumoto, the last 25.
How did he do that?
Tokyo.
How did he do that? 190 meters, and there was no doubt, Bernie, that Scott was going to win this. How did he do what he just did the last 10 meters? I mean, it's so, 26 flat coming home. Scott was 26.6. I didn't see it coming. Look at Scott in the middle. Matsumoto's way over there to the left. That's 190 meters. Scott's got this. But look at the turnover. And the turnover slows down for Scott. He was slow coming in the last 5 meters. And 1:41.7, fastest time of the year for
Matsumoto with the 3rd win for the Frog Kings on day 2. Oh, look at how tight it is for second. Well, the battle continues to see who will take match 5, and it's a battle right now for MVP, including Tom Shields leading the charge with 40 points. Beryl Gastadello just behind Shields with 38 points, and Gastadello back onto the pool deck, battling it out, trying to get another winning streak going after we saw her get the win in the 100 freestyle earlier. You'd think that she would be the clear favorite in this one, Rowdy. She's won the 50 fly 6 times in her ISL career.
Clear favorite, but if there's a dark horse in all of this, I think it's Marie Waddle. Took her out of the 200, put her in the 50 fly. She was second in the 100 to Gastadello in a 56.2, which was her best time ever. She could be a factor, but you're right. This could be all Gastadello. And remember, her teammate Alyssa Marsh got second and turned this around in a big way last week against Tokyo. Could it be the same scenario here? They were about the same amount of points behind Tokyo last week when they went 1-2 here.
All right, the number 1 ISO rated swimmer in the 50 fly, Beryl Gastadello, trying to win the event for the 7th time in her career. She's in the middle in lane number 5, and look at her and Marsh fly out to the start.
Yeah, terrible start there for Waddle. 0.77, that just might cost her, but look at the up top.
Oh, Beryl Gastadello, she has done it for the 7th time. She wins the fly and all, the jackpot. Oh, this is big for LA.
Well, they didn't go 1-2 this time. Marsh ended up 4th, but still, that is huge because those jackpot points will add up in a hurry. London finished 3rd, though, and 5th. So that will take the sting away a little bit because Tokyo wasn't in the mix last week. They were 7th and 8th again today. So LA is certainly going to surge further ahead of Tokyo. Lane 2 ended up, and that's Imai. was DQ'd for movement, but boy, it didn't matter. Gastadello, 24.95. Are you kidding me? That is fast.
And Gastadello, she earns 12 points. And again, the difference. Tokyo, again, minus 3 points because of that disqualification. So that's a 20-point swing there in that battle for a second. And even LA able to make up some ground, inching closer. 28 points behind the London Roar. All right, a preview of what's to come in the skins. But again, interesting story, Rowdy, is that likely we may see some different swimmers get plucked in there for the skins later on.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at this lineup right here, and you could certainly look at a different makeup. Kush, no doubt. Shields, no doubt. And then after that, well, Kawamoto will no doubt be in there. Mizuna Numa will be in there. But Rooney may substitute for Carter. Let's see what Carter does here. This is sort of a test for him. Not a bad thing to put him in here. Vazayos. He may not be in at the end. This is a three-way race right now.
And Kawamoto is going to be down in lane number 1. And by the way, Gastadello has snatched the lead in the MVP battle. She is now 10 points ahead of Tom Shields.
This is the only thing that Tom Shields doesn't have in his armory, that first 15 meters. After the first 15, it's all Tom Shields, but he doesn't quite have the speed. Let's see if he does it here.
Yeah, looks like Carter, his teammate, was the leader 25 meters in, but Tom Shields off the wall, battling with Kush. Kawamoto down at the bottom of the pool. I think it is Kawamoto. It is Tokyo getting the win.
Much better for Tom Shields, though. That will give him a lot of confidence going into the 50 fly. 22.4 for Shields. And Kawamoto got him by 9/100ths of a second. But Shields just continues to prove that he is such a force in this event. Goes his lifetime best at 29 years of age. No, I checked that. 9/100ths off the best time he's ever done in his life, which was 4 years ago. But Kawamoto, 22.3, follows up that great performance that he had earlier. And Tokyo inching up a little bit.
But things are getting closer. The lead that was 65 for London now is only 25. The Kerner right back in it. All right, it is time for the 100 breaststroke here in Budapest. Day 2, match 5. All eyes on Alia Atkinson, trying to give London a little bit of boost. Remember, we're starting the second half of day number 2, and I felt like London really surged in the second half of day number 1. And there she is, Alia Atkinson. You know, growing up in Jamaica, only about 75% of the Jamaicans did not know how to swim. Her parents wanted her to be different. They taught her how to swim, wanted to break the stereotype. And what did she go on to do but become the first Jamaican swimmer to win a gold medal at the World Championships? And she's a big pickup for London. You think about where they were a season ago. Goes without saying, the Lily King right now is the top sprinting female breaststroker, but certainly Alia Atkinson really helps you out on that relay. She certainly can challenge Lily King, and she is really all alone in this field of breaststrokers, you would imagine.
Absolutely imagine that. I mean, think about it. 7 of the 10 fastest times in history are by Alia Atkinson. She's broken 103 10 times. I can't wait for this matchup when we go ahead and look ahead to those semifinals if Callie and London, and they certainly look that way, are going to get into that semi with Lily King Alia Atkinson and Benedetta Pilato, the youngster.
But, Roddy, it is possible that you could see London and Cali, both teams unbeaten. Those two are expected to be in the next battle. But here it is Atkinson 2/10 ahead, and London with a chance for some big points here.
29-9 going out. That is so quick on the way out. Remember, world record holder, 102.3. That's not going to go down here, but she's going to win this race. But how about Kozelski up there in lane 8 for DC doing a good job?
Kozelski trying to hold on, but it is going to be London big time here in the breaststroke. They go 1-2.
And this is where LA just can't match London, is in the breaststrokes. They just can't do it. They get 5th and 7th. The men are in the same sort of situation. And London is just so strong.
And Atkinson says, "Where's my cap?"
There it is, right there. It fell off right there on that turn. She didn't need it. 29-9 on the way out, wow. And then 33-8 coming back. Laser 33-7 coming back. When she's 104.4. She had her best time of the season, closed so well. Kozelski fell to 3rd. Good swim for her. Where'd it go? Uh-oh.
All right, so the lead that was cut to 25 is now 35 on one event. So watch at how things change. This is where it started to change yesterday for London, taking their advantage during the breaststroke. It continued on to the backstroke, and things only get better for London here as Olympic champion Adam Peaty, who won the 50 breaststroke yesterday and started the surge, steps onto the pool deck now. There's Kozelski down in lane number 1. Peaty, Pagoda. Those two swimmers both rated in the top 10 of the ISL ratings. The only other one in the top 10 is going to be Will Lacone, who's going to be in lane number 6.
I think eventually this world record's going to go down this season. I really do. And, hey, it might be Peaty. It might be Shimanovic.
Might be Anton McKee.
Might be Anton McKee. Maybe Pagoda. I mean, there are 4 swimmers that could break it. But at some point this season, I think that world record goes down. And it's one of the oldest records on the book, set 10 years ago by Cameron Vandenberg. Shimanovic got close last year. Really close. 55.8. But Peaty.
Yeah, Peaty, an incredible close yesterday to take down Silva. And the starts are not Peaty's friend, that's for sure. Silva turns first.
And neither are the turns, really. I mean, Peaty is, I wouldn't say average, but there are a lot of swimmers that have better turns than Adam Peaty. Fortunately, when you're talking about long course in the Olympic Games, it doesn't matter. He's only got 1.
8/100s, Kozelski for Tokyo in front of Peaty. But expect to see Peaty come charging home again.
He was 26.5 there. Here he comes, but he may run out of room. Kozelski's putting it to him right now.
Kozelski trying to give the Frog Kings the win, and they take down the Olympic champion.
In a big way.
Kitajima loves to see Tokyo on top.
Wow. That wasn't even close. Fastest time of the year thus far. 56.1. He was 56.3 with a relay start yesterday. for Tokyo. He was so quick going out. He was 26.2 his first 50 when he went 56.3. He's 26.4. And that's flat start, folks. 26.4 and then 29.6 closing. That's 0.7 of a faster than Petey was his second 50. Completely dominating.
And Tokyo well within range to try to catch LA. 15.5 points separate the LA Current and Tokyo Frog Kings. And remember, second place finish, you get 3 points towards your total in the ISL standings. All right, mixed relay. This is an event, Roddy, that has really favored the DC Trident.
Yeah, they won it a couple weeks ago. They've got a nice mix. They don't have the depth to match up with everybody, but this is why this relay is a toss-up, because of the fact that you put two quick guys in the beginning, give your women a chance, and Apple and Pebbly have just been fantastic along the way, and they go again.
And again, it is a balance with this relay happening now on the second half of the hour. Do you want your athlete to swim the relay and then go the skins, or do you hold them back?
Well, London's changed things up a little bit. They're going with Duncan Scott and Lanza. And of course, Anderson and Hopkin will anchor for London's A team. And Ferreira comes in and leads off. You think, well, where's Rooney? Well, he might swim the 50 fly later on. Golomayev is in there. He won the 50. Gastadello and Weitzel, well, you know what they're capable of.
All right, DC trying to watch this relay team down in lane number 8. Zach Apple, Jacob Pebbly, Marco Greer, and Tingwen Q.
I think the key leg for London is the second one. Vinny Lanza, he was only 47.8 leading off the B relay last week. Excuse me, he led off the A relay, 47.8. So he needs to be faster, no question about it.
18 points on the line here, double points for a relay win. You can see the lead for London. They still maintain the advantage over LA, trying to remain unbeaten, trying to join the Cali Condors atop the table with 8 points.
That's Morozov. If you're wondering who that is out in front in lane number 2, down there near the left-hand side of your screen, 23-2 going out. Can he kind of bounce back? He ends up fading again, and there goes Apple.
46.8. Zach Apple has DC ahead by a half second.
London's second rather. Current is running third. So Apple's going to have that big lead here, potentially with another great leg for Pebbly, who has come in and done the job in so many ways for DC. Far right-hand side of your screen. I mean, here's a guy that I've talked about being a backstroker primarily. Won the 100 backstroke, in fact, at one of the matches earlier, but he'll come in and plug in anywhere you want to, and he's going to give DC the lead.
Man, they are the mixed specialists. Caitlin Santos put together quite a group.
That's a great split for Lanza. 47-1. They're only fourth right now, but boy, that's exactly what he needed. He needed to be better, and we'll give Freya Anderson, who goes third. You might think about her being anchor, but she's right there, the gold cap. She's going to go third. I think that's a great strategy that Mel made, because at night, all of a sudden, you're probably going to give Hopkin the lead, right? And
Yep.
that might give her a little bit more confidence going in with the lead. She doesn't have to come from behind. Anderson's going to give her the lead.
What a day for Anderson. Remember, she was critical at helping London pick the skins. And folks, things are tight. Gastadello hands it off to Abby Weitzel. Even LA is in the mix, and only 0.3 of a second separate first from third.
Now, I think this comes down to Weitzel and Hopkin. Quating Nguyen up there at the top, though, has been there for DC Trident. This is what we talked about. These three teams are hanging right in there together. Weitzel on her third swim.
Oh, 2/100ths of a second the difference now. Look at the swimmers trade first and second with 25 meters upcoming.
Weitzel, can she hang on off a third swim? Boy, it is tight right now.
Oh, Hopkin digging deep for London, but no, Abby Weitzel, she is going to win it for LA. $18 points, LA first and fourth in the mixed relay. All right, 2 events remain before the skins, and 2 events, Rowdy, that are very good for the Tokyo Frog Kings, and they need some help. They're 29.5 points behind the LA Current. London leading LA by 28 points, but could pick up a lot here if they can get the right result in the 400 IM. And Ohashi comes back onto the pool deck, down in lane number 1. She won this event earlier, and I felt like Ohashi looked really, really smooth.
Yeah, she really did. I mean, just made it look very easy. Talk about her splits along the way, but she really doesn't have that weak stroke. Maybe a little bit on the breast, but boy, her backstroke is where you have to watch the second 100 of her 400 IM. It is so beautiful to watch. She will take off the second 100. She is the third fastest swimmer in history in this event, behind Mariah Belmonte, who's the world record holder, and of course, Katinka Hosu.
And so Ohashi will watch her down at the bottom. Sydney Pickram, she finished second in Las Vegas in this event, only to Melanie Margalis.
We actually have a good field historically in this race. If you look at Amy Wilmot, who is the 9th fastest swimmer in history, and Pickram, who's the 15th. So 3 of the top 15 swimmers in history are in this event. And neither one of them includes Hosu and Margalis, who will be there at the end.
But Roddy, I do feel like this is one of those events where really depends on where you are training-wise, how you can perform.
Yeah, and you know, this is, again, that you just give a lot of credit to some of these swimmers that really are outside their comfort zone. Gorbenko, I mean, she got second in the 100 IM. Here she is, plugging away, swimming a 400 IM, and I can guarantee you she probably didn't want to swim this, but she's doing everything in her power to score some points for her team, as does every swimmer in this race, obviously, and along the way in the ISL. But you know, it's tough to swim those weak strokes sometimes, or weak events rather, and here she is doing that. And Ohashi looking as strong as ever, but watch this second 100, 101.2 going out.
Ohashi and Shimizu Tokyo sitting 1-2. Early on, you can see London's total points, 433.5 points. They're trying to join the Cali Condors as the only 2 unbeaten teams in ISL 2020.
I had mentioned Gorbenko as my mistakes. They actually took her out of the race. I didn't see the swimmer standing behind the blocks before the race, and they took Gorbenko out and put Gassan in. No, yes, Gassan is in there along with Sargent. So LA needs to do whatever they can to keep this close. 5th and 6th right now, LA sits. And look at the split that Ohashi. Look at that beautiful backstroke. I talked to you about how she looked a lot like Irie, but check the split out for her. Wow, just beautiful.
And how about Amy Wilmot? She's moved in to second place for the London Roar.
It was 105 plus on that 100 backstroke for Ohashi.
Ohashi trying to get her second ISL win here in this 400 IM. Wilmot really trying to use this breaststroke leg to her advantage, but all about Ohashi. She's still well over 2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, and her teammate Shimizu is currently third.
Remember, Wilmot's been 425 before. She went that 7 years ago, but she's swimming a great race, and this is exactly what London needs right now. They don't necessarily have to win, but they don't want to fall off the map and get fourth or fifth here. And right now, she is doing a great job, as is both of these Tokyo swimmers. Ohashi and Shimizu right now may be running 1-2.
Yeah, to remember, Roddy, it's Tokyo trying to crack into the top two, trying to overtake LA. And there's a battle right now between London and LA for second place. So every time your swimmer can outscore your opponent, it's good. And right now things are looking pretty good that London is certainly going to outscore LA in this event and at least maintain, if not build on, their 28-point lead. But Ohashi, 50 meters away from her second 400 IM win.
And LA is running out of time in a big way. They're putting all their money on the skins, and that's one reason why you think Gorbenko, who I mentioned that was in this event, they took her out at the last minute, and I think she's going to end up swimming the 50 breaststroke in the skins. But Ohashi, her best time ever is 4:22.7. Set that a couple years ago. Won't beat that here, but boy, she is swimming away with it.
Tokyo, Tokyo, Tokyo. Ohashi leads a 1-2 finish for the Frog Kings. Wilmot gets her hand on the wall third. London third and fourth. Tokyo indeed.
How about Tokyo? Wow. This is exactly what they needed. They're not especially strong in the skins. They're not weak. They do have Kawamoto in the fly, but they needed this. And now they've got another strong event in the 400 IM as well for men coming up. So this is another 1-2 punch. And I think you talked about it earlier tonight about the IMs being such a strength for Tokyo. And they've got two of them here on day two.
Yeah, look at, they're going to get to 393 points. And it's still 16 points the difference between Tokyo and LA, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tokyo isn't within range for second after Hagino swims this 400 IM.
Hagino and Honda. I mean, both of them could be a huge factor. Honda coming up with second. And there it is.
Yeah,
it doesn't look close now, but trust me, with 3 events, anything could change.
Yeah,
even at the top.
Outscored LA 17-11 on that event. So it remains LA in second, 409.5 points. Tokyo third, 393 points. And I think that the number is a little bit deceiving in this one because Hagino's ISL rating may be 10th, but I would think that by the end of the season, you got to put Hagino as number 1, I would think, in this event, at least in the top 3, right?
I have a feeling he might just move up in a big way by the end. That 10th rating is not going to be there when we get down to the semis. Right in front of you, one of the great IMers in history, Olympic gold medalist in this event, 26 years of age. We've talked about him a lot, suffering through some depression post-Olympic Games. And he's talked about it himself, you know, he said mentally, physically, he just didn't have it. Stroke fell apart, but he's come back in a big way here in the ISL.
Yeah, and how big is the International Swimming League to have swimming reimagined for a lot of these athletes to change the course of their career? It's kind of a dream come true. We talked about Tom Shields dreaming up a professional league like this. And, you know, of course, Agino, nothing like it in Tokyo or in Japan.
Yeah, this is just, I can go through almost every single race and tell you at least 2 or 3 athletes in each one of the races that said, you know what, this is a big reason why I'm still swimming right now, because of this amazing league and what it's been able to provide for so many athletes around the world.
And even for him right now, his teammate is Honda. I'm not sure how often in their previous career that Agino wanted Honda to kind of succeed with him.
Well, think about Japan and what they have in store for next summer when we go to the Olympic Games. I mean, Daya Seto, who, by the way, broke the world record here in the ISL last year, broke the long-standing record that Ryan Lochte held. He did that in the finals, 3:54. Nobody's going to be close to that.
Agino already building on his lead. Abram Devine trying to get into the mix for DC Triton. There he is, red cap, and lane number 7.
Devine had the fastest backstroke of anybody in the field last week in the 400 IM. He was 159.4 going out. Agino was 159.2 last week in the 400 IM. Check this split out, 155.3. I think that's a little faster.
All right, so it's Agino, Devine, and Honda. If Tokyo can go 1-2, they have a chance to pull potentially even with LA with only the skins to go.
Devine was much faster too. He was 157.9, so he's about a second and a half faster than he went last week. And DC swimming very well in this event with Devine and Cope.
And think about this, Roddy, because obviously Tokyo and LA went neck and neck in the last match, but it set up a whole lot better for LA because they had backstroke skins with Beryl Gastadello. I would say that in the skins on the women's side, probably favors Tokyo more than it does LA to even jump ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in many ways you're absolutely right. Certainly in the breaststroke it does. And I would argue in the fly too. It's really going to come down to the fly and how many rounds Tom Shields can go and the wild card Rooney.
Oh, look at DC. Cope has moved into second.
And Devine right there too. Agino's going to win the race.
Jackpot time for the 400 IM. It's a tough way. 9.4 seconds. It's interesting because it seems like we see a lot bigger jackpots in some of the shorter races. So even though this is a big margin for Agino, he's got to really work hard to have almost a 10-second lead in a 400 IM. He's got to get the win.
Well, he's going to jackpot at least one swimmer here, and that's Tom Dean, I think, who right now is a full 12 seconds behind him.
Agino, he has another win for Tokyo. They take both 400 IMs. DC, though, second and third, but it's first and fourth for Tokyo and the Frog Kings. Oh, Tokyo climbing up, inching closer to LA. Skins coming up next. Mochi's waited 26 years for this moment. First time ever, Alia Atkinson swimming the skins for breaststroke, and all of London hoping that she can separate the roar from the rest of the field with a big performance here, Roddy.
Yeah, I mean, if anything shapes up to even close to the 100 and what she did there, she was 29.9 in the 100 going out the first 50. She went 29.6 in the individual 50. So clearly nobody is in her league, so she should just sail through to the final.
Gorbenko gets the late addition for LA. She comes on and she's going to be in lane number 5.
Yeah, Gorbenko, watch her.
We heard a rumor that maybe she's going to try to do a breaststroke flip turn.
Yeah, I saw her working on it earlier, and coaching staff for LA said, it is legal what she did. It's a little bit of a gray area, but Atkinson certainly is one to watch here overall. Don't know what she'll have for 350s.
Again, only 4 survive the first round, and all eyes are going to be on Atkinson. 6.5 points, the difference between second and third.
Well, Atkinson, Kozelski, Laser, and Aoki were the top 4 in the 50 breaststroke earlier.
And Kozlowski looks good as well out there in lane number 7. Again, it is all about surviving the first round and moving on, and it looks like Atkinson, Kozlowski, they're in a good spot to move on, and it's pretty wide open for the 3rd and 4th spot. Aoki looking to move on as well. It is Atkinson, Kozlowski, Gorbenko, and
they
Aoki.
Tied!
Oh!
For 4th, they tied. Laser and Gorbenko tied for 4th. Atkinson 29-6, easy. 29-6.
Well, that's a way to move on, Rowdy.
Yeah, they both move on, right? I mean, they both will move on. Now 4 will go to 5. 5 in the second round now. That's the first we've seen here thus far. And a great charge at the end for Laser. I thought Gorbenko had her. 30.20 is what they went to get 4th. Aoki was 30.09. Kozelski was 30.07. So those are your 5 swimmers right there, Bernie. And look from above. No doubt about Atkinson, but right to her right is Gorbenko, Gorbenko, and then to her left is Laser, and that's where they tied at the end. So on either side of Atkinson.
Yeah, only 1/10 in that round.
Talking about his turn, Coach Marsh. 30 seconds left.
All right, 5 into the second round for the first time. A little ISL history here in the breaststroke skins. But only 2 will survive.
And once again, Gorbenko and Laser are on either side of Atkinson. Kozelski, who got second, up top.
Another great start for Atkinson.
All of them had good starts. For a second round, that's great starts. All of them were .68 or better.
Well, Gorbenko, she is in the mix alongside Atkinson turning. Atkinson comes out on front. It's still wide open for a second. Kozlowski's trying to do for DC Trebin. Oh, Gorbenko, she looks to join Atkinson.
It's Gorbenko!
She will.
What a swim by Gorbenko. To grab second there. And that puts more pressure on Tokyo in the final skins of the night in the butterfly. They are in a battle for second. Watch this race. All of them are very solid off the start. You think the second 50 after 3 minutes, you'd see a .7 somewhere? But watch this turn by Gorbenko. See how she did a flip turn? Second from the right. No DQ. Legal. Kind of flipped over.
And it's interesting about it because she actually still had to charge in front of Kozlowski, and she got her only on the last 3 strokes there.
Wow. That was huge for her to grab the final round. Oh, this skin's wacky, man. I'm telling you. David trying to lighten the mood a little bit. Mel just telling Alia just to do what you've been doing. Don't change things. Use that early speed. Gorbenko's just thrilled to be in this position. Watch her turn. Watch Gorbenko's turn. Let's see if she does it again.
The team that's picked the skins has won the skins. Can Atkinson keep that streak alive?
I think Gorbenko's goal right now is not to get jackpotted. That's what she needs to do, because I think clearly Atkinson, based on the first 2 swims, is going to win it. Gorbenko's right there with her at the beginning, and there goes that turn. You see that turn?
Oh, wow.
But I don't think it's faster. I'm not sure. I mean, Atkinson really came up swimming faster.
Atkinson surges into the lead. Gorbenko trying to track her down to the stretch. Oh, it is tight, but Atkinson skins winner only by a 10th. London takes the skins.
Well, Atkinson did her job. She did exactly what she was supposed to do. All the pressure is on her. But you have to give a lot of credit to Anastasia Gorbenko. I mean, she was so good.
Well, Alia Atkinson waited for her moment, and man, did she deliver for London.
30.28. There's that turn right there. Gets a little deeper. Once again, the turn. Watch. She has to touch the wall with both hands together. And then after that, but again, I'm not sure if she got around quick enough. The whole key in a breaststroke turn is to stay low and tight. And boy, she was charging at the end. 30-28, 30-38. Whoo. Shoo. That's what she's saying.
Yeah, with a win, though, in the final round, Atkinson skins winner, and London on top by a big margin now. All right, final event. Beryl Gastadell leads the MVP race, 54.5 points, but Tom Shields still to go. Just like Alia Atkinson, he has waited for this moment. Butterfly skins coming your way. Man, my shoulders are already sore just thinking about that.
This one's going to be a good one. Tokyo still got a chance to get second here. And it's a late change. They took Mizunuma out, who swam the 50 earlier, and put Matsui in there. Well, what did he do? He got second in the 50 freestyle earlier, 21 flat. So you know he's got the speed. Not a flyer, but he has raw speed.
At 21 points, the difference between LA and Tokyo at the moment for second.
Vikovashev, first time we've seen him today. He comes in fresh. Shields swam the 200 at 12:15, 50 at 1 o'clock, and Rooney swam the 200 about an hour ago. 200, how much does a 200 take out of you? Don't think DC is going to be a factor. Cerruti was not in the top 5, neither was Finnerty.
Yeah, Finnerty known more for breaststroke.
I think this comes down to surviving. If you're LA or if you're Tokyo, even more so, getting 2 in that top 4 would be huge.
Yeah, if Tokyo can get 2 onto the second round, they've got a chance, but all eyes are going to be on Tom Shields. Again, for him, if he can just survive the first 2 rounds.
I agree totally, Bernie. If he survives this, even the first round, I think he's almost a lock to get to the finals. And you would think he would be able to do that off that 22.4. It went from 22.3 to 22.9 for 4th, and that was Mizunuma, who's out.
Oh, folks, it is tight. Only 4 are going to move on.
Another great turn there for Shields, and a good one for Matsui.
Tom Shields taking charge. He's moving on. Oh, 2 from Tokyo move on as well. And 2.
2 from Tokyo and 2 from LA.
Rooney moves on as well.
And London gets shut out. We had a tie for second between Kawamoto and Rooney. Shields wins it, 22-32. How about this guy?
Not a bad day at the pool.
Oh my goodness.
And folks, it started with a 200 butterfly.
And Tom Shields went his lifetime best, 22-32. The best time he's ever been in history at 29 years of age. This is a lesson for a lot of people who are swimming into their late 20s and early 30s. Do not give up. Never, ever give up. And how about Rooney getting in there, squeezing in there for second with Kawamoto, and Matsui a late charge and getting in there with a time. Wow, 2 from LA, 2 from Tokyo.
And another big battle.
There's David Marsh, assistant coach Jack Roach. Got to get coaches, 2 coaches out there now. Tokyo, Dave Salo's staying on the sidelines here. Not sure he'd be able to communicate well. There are some Japanese coaches. And you can see the coaches behind them right now. Trainers. You're only allowed 1 per athlete. And how about Rooney coming off that? There's David talking to Rooney. Just getting warmed up, he said. Well, listen, both of them swimming 200. We saw them. Rooney was in the 200 free. Shields in the 200 fly. So you really have to give the edge to them. You've got 2 huge raw sprinters in Kawamoto and Matsui. So this would be big for LA. Here we go.
2 from Tokyo, 2 from LA as they battle for second place here on day 2. Oh, it wasn't a good start at all.
For
Shields.
Like
for Shields.
What? I don't know what happened there, but he got left on the blocks. 0.80, Matsui was 0.59. If Shields does not move on, it's all because of the start.
Great turn, though, for Shields. Kawamoto and Shields, those 2 will move on as Kawamoto gets the win.
23 flat for Kawamoto. And Shields, it was all the start. Everything was the start there for Tom Shields, 23.08. And Rooney was third, 23.4. Not quite there, but that's a good day. Good day for him. And Tom Shields, I don't know what happened. The the reaction, on a start, Bernie, I think 90% of it is reaction. See the reaction? He just didn't have it. That's a great shot, guys. Great replay of the start right there. Again, he's just slow off the blocks. I think he'll clean that up because he was much better on the first skins. I go back and look at the first skins. He was much better.
Yeah, but how about the closing speed, though? And Kawamoto, big for him, Tokyo Frog Kings onto the final. Tom Shields, first time in his career, he is an MVP. He is moved in front of Beryl Gastadella by 1 point, and he can only add to his total.
0.74.
I guess unless he was disqualified and would lose points,
right.
But he looks pretty good for him right now at this moment.
By the way, let's go back to the start. Absolutely critical for Tom Shields here. He cannot be 0.8 again. Kawamoto has a very quick start. He's at a 0.6 low. So if you think about it, let's say he's 0.64 again and Tom Shields is 0.80, that means he's 16/100ths of a second behind on the start. He lost that 50 fly, the second skins 50 fly, by 2/100ths of a second. So he cannot afford a slow start again. That's what he said, let's get off the blocks.
Takashi Kawamoto trying to give the Frog Kings a skins win. And there's Tom Shields trying to do it for the LA Current.
All boils down to the start here. Well, 0.63 to 0.75. Much better on the start there for Shields. That could be the factor.
And Shields takes the advantage on the underwater. They turn tight, though. But Shields typically is much better underwater. And look at Shields stay down. Tom Shields holding off Kawamoto. And Shields is the skins winner, LA. Oh, the one that picks the skins wins the skins, and that still proves true with Shields.
And boy, the Current closed on London. Again, why these skins are so critical. Now they only finish about 20 points behind London. Look at the depth he gets on this turn. And really kind of excels so much out of that hole. Puts his head down on that finish right there, 23-24, wins it by 0.6 of a second. What a day, what a weekend.
Well, mark your calendars, November 5th. Tokyo, Cali Condors, London Roar, a battle of the unbeatens here in ISL 2020. But there's Tom Shields scoring 31 points, the match MVP. LA Current finishing second in the team standings. London Roar wins the match. They remain unbeaten. And Mel Marshall, she's got to be happy she's down on the pool deck with Mark Foster. All right, season club points on the table. LA Current, one more match, one more point. They lead it with 9 points, but Cali Condors, London Roar, 2 for 2. Both are perfect, Rowdy, with 8 points.
Should be a lot of fun to watch. Coming up.
What a day for Tom Shields, the match MVP, but the match belonged to London and the Roar, who roared to victory. Battle of Unbeatens coming your way November 5th, but we're back into the pool tomorrow with the reigning champions. Mark Foster, Rowdy Gaines, entire crew burning up their saying so long. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.